Welcome back. So in today's video we'll talk about using basic shapes and gesture drawing to draw the figure and why these simplified sketches can really help you to explore a variety of ideas. So for this first one I will start with the box-like prisms to establish the torso, but then from there I generally will warm up and kind of use less of that. So just keep it in mind that these little box-like prisms are great for when you have a hard time like directing the torso to a specific angle and perspective, essentially. You don't really have to start with this much structure. A lot of times it's just a simplified stick person. And there's a lot to be said for doing this over and over and then exploring the pose. So I kind of have to start with just a basic pose to warm up. Okay, and you can start with your figure drawing. You can look at your sites. You can pull up some cool poses. I recommend creating like a swipe file, like a folder where you store all your, I'm going to draw those poses one day type images. And then every now and then you open that sucker up and you go for it. Now, the neat thing about something like, I can't remember this site's Line of Action comes to mind. There's different sites where they will just pop up images for you. You can tell it whether or not you want nude models. Some people don't like to draw nude. I get it. Just, you can do clothes models, whatever you want to do. And then you can just sit there. And the neat thing about that is like when they show you a random image, you're a lot more likely to learn, I think, because it's just something that all of a sudden you have to think on your feet. Where when you're designing your own character, you might default to, what you think I guess is really the better way to think about it. You'll default to maybe your bad habits and things like that. So that's where, taking the time to do figure drawing from models is such a great thing. And even ones that you're not expecting to draw, where there's a very different scenario. If you say, well, today I want to draw punching poses. So you go to a bunch of UFC, like I've always mentioned, UFC is great for that, right? You're seeing people actually try to punch each other in the face, which is awesome and fun to watch. But you can sit there and grab from that and say, okay, this is what it really looks like. It's not like somebody imitating a punch or a reaction to getting punched, and it's fake. It's not the same energy, and you don't want to grab from that if you're trying to learn how to draw fight scenes, right? So this is a really bad pose right there, but what I want to hopefully show you by doing this is I'm trying not to draw the body so specifically where I get caught up into like, oh, this has to look just like an arm. It needs to be like more gestural, for one. It needs to be quick and energetic and, throw some shapes in there that aren't as discernible, right? It doesn't need to be perfect here. In fact, I want to log in more, more sketches, but also I want to start thinking about ways where, okay, so with this particular pose, I got an arm coming down, he's throwing a punch, right? I want to get some twists in the hips, because if not, I could easily do something like this. And I go, I'll just bring a leg up, one leg down. There's my quick shorthand method for these poses. And it's kind of boring. I mean, it's typical, right? Bring one arm back, kind of coming out, another fist, very typical. Okay, and so, I should probably give my foot, right? But the thing is that what I really want to challenge myself to do here, especially since I'm trying to draw or show you how to draw these very simplified poses, is I want to say, well, if I'm using very simple shapes, can I explore the pose a little bit more? I mean, isn't that the goal here? So you can do that by copying them and bringing them off to the side. But maybe I try to like really twist the hips a little bit more. I pinch this side of the abdomen a little bit more, and then I bring this leg way over here now. And I don't know, it might be forced, but what I'm saying is I'm trying to explore some ideas here, and that's really where, if I'm going to save the time by doing these quick little sketches that are loose and a little more gestural, a little more simplified, then I want to utilize that time savings in exploring different concepts And I really think that basically because we're using simplified posing, it's a lot easier to do that. Like whenever I draw this same pose larger, I want to try to explore a different one. Bring the arm back like this. Whenever I draw this pose larger, I'm a lot more likely to fall into uh, like a stiff, lifeless version of it. You know, and it's like, oh yeah, but you know, because you're thinking more gesturally right now. Well, that and because I'm using simple, small shapes, it's like I can do heavy lifting really fast, right? So that, I don't know. That's the way I look at it. I don't know if that's the right way to explain it, but you know, you can see there that one I think came out better than where it was initially heading. And again, I'm able to do that because there's small shapes that I can contort on the page more easily. So let's try another one. Let's try to change an angle. Let's start with the center of the body. We'll point the chest up like this. You know, let's bring the arms back like this. And again, I want to really explore any ideas here that I can. So I'm going to make this a female character and say, all right, it's kind of this like the body's lifted up, pointing to the sky kind of thing, arm back. Again, I really want to fight the urge to refine any of this. I want to get them, you know, get in there rather quickly, quick ideas. All right, let's bring the legs back. I'm kind of flying up to the sky kind of thing. It almost looks like a dance move. I mean, no way that I would dance, I'll tell you that. My back would just go snap. No, but you know, someone that can actually dance, this is maybe a move they would do. I feel like even that took too long, but, you know, there we go. There's another pose. Now, what I could do here is say, okay, here's our pose. I don't know why anybody would jump in the air like this, but maybe. I feel like the legs are a little too short. Okay, but I don't want to get too critical. But what I'm going to do here now is just take this and do something better because I'm not real happy with that one. But they're not all going to be fantabulous. So, but let's try to build upon it. So, because a lot of times, again, I'm trying to like break free from these bad ideas or these previous ideas. You know, it's like I feel like I'm onto something. I got an idea, but no, that didn't work. So, but I don't want to call it a failure, right? It's not like these things are ever failures. You're logging in mileage and you know, processing data in the brain box, trying to just figure out, you know, how to get something good out of where you're going with what you're doing. You know, it's never a bad thing. It's just they're not always, you know, the best of your best, right? So let's take this again. Start with the abdominal, the midsection, the torso. And I don't really like what I did with the arms there, but maybe I bring the arms out more because I was almost thinking like this Supergirl kind of pose, but it just didn't feel as exciting as I hoped, and I envisioned in my mind. I'm going to try it again. I definitely want to elongate the legs. I'm going to bring those together as one big shape for now. So a lot of times, you know, looking at an overall silhouette or thinking of things as an overall silhouette and then breaking it up as you go on the inside, that can usually help. So something like this. And I don't know if maybe the head was too far back, but I always want that little shift in orientation from the head to the torso to the pelvis. Or you see here, it looks too stiff, you know, so I'm going to work on this one a little bit more. But I could tilt that head back a little bit more. I could turn it to the side. So let me show you that. Like, so if you see the head just like that, kind of looks a little boring. But if I just do the same thing and I tilt it away to the side. So this is the side of the head now. I bring the chin over here, a little bit of the underneath of the chin. It usually looks just a little more interesting. I still don't feel like that's great or anything like that, but it's better than leaving, you just don't want the head, the upper torso, and the lower pelvis to all be pointing the same way. In fact, I could probably get more arc in the lower back here and immediately make it look a little more energetic. So to do that, just real quick, kind of a little cheat here. Just kind of do this just to see if it does anything for the pose. Yeah, and I feel like that's a little better. I mean, it's still not that interesting or that great of a pose, but again, it's making these little distinctions and these little shifts in the overall design of it to go, okay, oh, that's better than what it was, you know, so that's at least in the right direction, but how do I keep pushing that? And a lot of times I think what these do for you as well is say, okay, if it's not working out and it doesn't yield any great results, then you say, you know what, that's something I'm going to come back to, and you kind of make a middle note of it. And when you see that pose done well, whether it be in a comic or one of your figure drawing sites, whatever, you're like, oh, there it is, there's part of what I need even. I mean, I think that's what makes us like better artists, is when we're able to really get into those little bits of minutia in our work and say, okay, I'm almost there. I got the midsection right, but my legs are looking funny. How to get those legs better? And then I always tell people, you got to stop what you're doing and like draw a bunch of legs. It's not the most exciting thing. It can be boring at times, but that's what it takes. And then again, just simplify the pose. Draw in big shapes, get ideas in, practice. Hiding parts of the body. That's another thing that's pretty tricky, is like when you get these, like I always want to draw Hulk, right? And his head would be smaller, but see, I'm drawing Hulk. It's like a lot of what I think makes his poses work is when you get like the areas where parts are covered, So I'll just show you real quick. So what I'm talking about. So if you draw a pose like this, and you give him these big hulking arms, obviously, so I got to draw those huge by comparison. I'll say something like this. We'll have the other arm back here, leg coming forward. He's got this hunched over body, right? Something like this. And I'd shadow all this in. A lot of that would get hidden. Might do something like this, right? In all sorts of ways you could pose them, but a lot of what it is obviously the proportions, but then you just can't have like everything about the character in full view. It just doesn't look the same. So for instance, if I take that, and I know that's, hopefully I was not off page there. I think I was, sorry, but it's a lot of times if you take something like this, real basic pose there, and you can refine that. You can see where there might be some areas you can salvage and make this work, right? But if you take that same type of character and you just go like this, it's not bad. It's just, I'll just show you. A lot of times this feels much easier to do, right? Take the character and just put everything out to the side. And it just doesn't look as menacing. It just looks like he's just kind of going to check the mailbox or something. It's not as ominous, as aggressive, I guess, right? Even if you put the head down, arms back, it's just a different body language, right? It's just like he's just walking. I guess he could be walking over and saying something mean and you'd get that feeling, but it just doesn't have the same weight to it. His legs a little long there for Hulk, but you know what I mean? Like, it's all about that posturing. But again, if you draw with these very simplified gestures and you get used to looking through this messiness right here, right? It's not the prettiest drawing. None of them really are, but what it does, it gives you a lot of mileage rather quickly. Like, even though this video in real time took 15 minutes to draw, I don't find this to be ever a waste of time. you know. And as I continue on, I'll just keep exploring more and more ideas. And you can do this with pieces as well. So say the arm right here. I was thinking of a foreshortening that came out towards us, and I just didn't nail that in this basic little sketch. So I might come over here and say, well, let's practice that. Again, I don't want to get too awfully critical of the drawing, but I really want to see where I went wrong on that foreshortening. So I'm just going to block that in real quick. And I'm just going to think about foreshortening. I'm not worried about this being the perfect arm shapes. I mean, if I can get them to look pretty accurate, cool, but I'm not worrying about it. I'm not going to sit here and absorb a bunch of time and effort into that, because that's not my particular focus at this point. If anything, I'm more worried about maybe the overlaps, size relationships, the overall idea that it looks foreshortened, that I really get the hand and the forearm bigger, which again would be proportion, size relationships, spatial relationships. But you know what I mean? That's what I'm looking for right there. But if I focus on, oh no, that deltoid's got to look just right, and that forearm's got to, the muscle of the forearm's got to be just right, you know, then I'm going to lose some of that foreshortening. So hopefully you get, that's really the purpose of why I wanted to share today's little video with you, is that yes, these aren't the most beautiful sketches I've ever done, and I'm not super proud of them or anything like that. But the thing is it's not about that. It's about the idea to be able to explore variation in things and get past those roadblocks that you find yourself just kind of repeating because you're so worried about drawing well, and you're so worried about drawing. There's a lot to think about when drawing the body, right? So it's very easy to get confused and zero in on the wrong thing at the wrong time. So hopefully I've conveyed that in today's video. Let me know what you think about it, as well as what you want to see in the future. Good luck with your art, and I'll talk to you soon.